She had never felt so alone in her life. Every day, the slaps and shouts from her parents left marks she couldn't hide, not just on her skin but deep inside her heart. And now, with the weight of new life growing inside her, the fear had doubled. She had to run, she had to escape. So one cold evening, when the sun dipped behind the jagged mountains, she took a trembling step out of the front door, leaving everything she had ever known behind. With only a small bag and the clothes on her back, she ran into the shadows of the forest, hoping the trees would swallow her whole. The leaves crunched under her shoes, each sound echoing like a countdown to safety or disaster. Her heart pounded like a drum, and tears blurred her vision. But she didn't stop. She couldn't. If you've ever felt trapped or helpless, you'll understand why she had no choice. And before we dive deeper, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Emotional Twist, because every story here is one you won't forget. Turn on the bell too so you never miss a twist that could change your perspective on life. Hours passed, maybe more. The cold bit into her skin, but something in the distance caught her eye. A faint glow, almost hidden between two large pines. Curious, she crawled closer, her legs shaking. And there it was. A small wooden cabin, tucked away so perfectly that it seemed like it had been waiting for her. The door creaked as she pushed it open, revealing a space that smelled of old wood and safety. For the first time in months, maybe years, she felt a tiny spark of hope. This cabin, forgotten by the world, might just be her sanctuary. Inside, she found a few supplies left behind. A stack of blankets, some dry wood, and a small kettle. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make her feel alive again. She wrapped herself in a blanket, letting the warmth seep into her aching body, and for the first time, she allowed herself to cry without fear. The walls of that cabin absorbed her sobs, the wooden beams standing as silent witnesses to her pain, her fear, and now, a glimmer of hope. She knew she couldn't stay here forever, but for the night, it was enough to just breathe. Morning came slowly, painting the mountains in shades of orange and pink. She stepped outside, cautious yet curious, and noticed something she hadn't seen in the dark. A small garden, overgrown yet still thriving. It seemed that whoever had lived here before had cared for it, leaving signs of life even in isolation. She decided to stay a little longer, tending to the garden, gathering firewood, and learning the rhythm of the forest. Days turned into weeks, and with every passing moment, she grew stronger, more determined. She realized that survival wasn't just about escaping, it was about learning to thrive against all odds. The isolation gave her time to think, to plan, and to heal. She thought about her baby, about the life growing inside her, and it filled her with a new kind of courage. She began talking to herself softly, promising that this child would know love, not the harshness she had endured. Sometimes, she sang quietly while gathering water from a nearby stream, her voice echoing off the mountains, blending with the wind. Each note was a small rebellion against the fear that had dominated her life. Weeks passed, and she discovered hidden corners of the forest, places she would later know as safe havens. She learned which berries were safe to eat, which herbs could soothe pain, and where to find dry wood even after rain. The cabin became not just a shelter but a home. It was a place where she could dream without interruption, where she could write messages in the dust on the wooden table, imagining a future far from the violence she had left behind. But peace in isolation didn't mean the outside world forgot her. One afternoon, while gathering firewood, she heard voices. Faint, cautious, curious. She froze, fear gripping her chest. Peeking through the trees, she saw two hikers, strangers, unaware of her existence. Her first instinct was to hide, to retreat, but then she realized she didn't have to live in fear forever. She waved cautiously, and they waved back, puzzled but friendly. That simple human contact reminded her that even in the darkest times, connection was possible. Months passed. The baby grew stronger inside her, and she grew stronger too. She painted small symbols on the cabin walls, each representing survival, hope, and resilience. She even carved a swing from an old tree branch, imagining the laughter of her child one day. She learned that fear could coexist with joy, that pain could coexist with hope. And through every struggle, she whispered encouragement to herself. You are brave. You are stronger than you think. Eventually, the world outside began to take notice. Neighbors from distant villages, drawn by curiosity or perhaps fate, discovered the hidden cabin. Instead of judgment, they brought small gifts, food, blankets, and sometimes letters of encouragement. It was a reminder that kindness could reach even the most hidden corners. Slowly, she began to reconnect with humanity, on her own terms, knowing now that trust must be earned, but love could still be found. And on a crisp morning, as she watched the sunrise from the small porch of her hidden sanctuary, she smiled for the first time in a long while. She had run into the mountains as a scared, beaten girl, but she emerged as a mother-to-be filled with courage, hope, and determination. The cabin, once just a shelter, had become a symbol of resilience. It had witnessed her tears, her growth, and now her triumph. And though the path ahead remained uncertain, she knew she could face it, because she had survived the impossible. If the story moved you, let us know in the comments. What would you have done in her place? And if you think someone you know could use this story of hope and resilience, share it with them. Emotional Twist brings you stories like these every week, reminding us all that even in our darkest hours, a spark of hope can light the way.